Tom Clark's 6M podcast is a Boink Studios production. And now, on with the show.
Hey, what is up? Welcome to Tom Clark's 6M podcast. I'm your host, Tom Clark, and in this episode, I'm joined by co-host Phil Lindsey. So we are moving on from Halloween month here on the 6M. If you've been paying attention, if you've been following the show, and hopefully you have, we basically had 4 weeks of Halloween here on the 6M podcast because we had all 3 Blade movies, and we followed it up with Ghost Rider as the coup de grace for our Halloween month on the 6M podcast. Probably the first time we ever done that here. In fact, it is the first time we ever done that here. So maybe we'll follow that for Christmas too. Hey, man, there's all kind of Christmas movies out there. Who knows? We'll see. No promises. Wait and see how we feel when we get there. But we're following up Halloween month here, and we're doing so with a comedy. I told you we was going to make it lighthearted again. I mean, Ghost Rider is pretty lighthearted, but so is this. True comedy here. This is Dodgeball. Love this freaking movie. I've always loved this movie. It's the right combination of hokey and goofy and cornball and cringe maybe in a couple of different moments, but nothing you can't get over, hopefully. I think it's aged pretty well, with the exception of a couple of words maybe you shouldn't be saying. But other than that, again, I think it's good. I think it's great, actually. And I really enjoy this movie. And if you guys are fans of Dodgeball, hopefully you'll enjoy this. Dodgeball, a true underdog story, is a 2004 sports comedy film written and directed by Rawson Marshall Thurber and starring Vince Vaughn and an assorted group of actors around him who absolutely crush it. The film follows a group of unlikely misfits who enter a Las Vegas dodgeball tournament in the hopes of winning $50,000 to save their cherished local gym from being taken over by corporate health fitness chain Globo Gym. Theatrically released by 20th Century Fox on June 18, 2004, the film received generally positive reviews from critics. And as I said, we happen to love it here. Distributed by 20th Century Fox. As we said, release date June 18th, 2004. Produced by Ben Stiller and Stuart Cornfield. This film had a budget of only $20 million. I say only 20 million as if that's pocket change. But the box office on this film, this is why I say 20, the box office was $168.4 million. So it made some money, kids. Made some money. And that is your lowdown on Dodgeball, a true underdog story. So Phil, we're back to comedy. Having fun with this one. We got another comedy film coming up after this. And this should be good. You and I talked about this movie before, and another weird thing happened when you and I were talking about it, is that I had to go back and check the archive because I could have sworn we had done it. And turns out we had not done it. This just keeps happening. The older the show gets, because we've been going since 2020, longer the show goes, the more I keep tending to forget what we've already done. But we're taking care of that here today with Dodgeball. Phil, what do you think about this one? Is this one of your favorite comedies? How long has it been since you've seen it?
I haven't seen it in a while, but I used to watch it a lot, especially when it initially came out. This movie is 20 years old, I think.
It is.
I think it came out in 2004. But at that time period and like that time with comedy, and I feel like we were in a really good spot with a lot of the movies coming out. This movie, it hit a lot of notes that I enjoy. Like, I'm a big fan of sports movies, and there are a lot of things that they do kind of parodies of or satire of in this movie. And if you're a fan of those movies, a lot of that stuff hits. And not for nothing, it is an actually good sports movie. It's not just that it makes fun of sports movies. It's actually a good sports movie at that.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. Goofy as all get out at times. Some of the characters are wacky to say the least, but it is a comedy, Phil. Like, and dude, the cast, I can't wait to get in the cast. The cast is freaking wonderful. There's some heavy hitters in this thing too.
Yeah, very, very, very stupid movie. Like, this is
yeah,
this is a very stupid movie. And it does this thing with comedy that a lot of stuff at that time period, whether it be guys like Judd Apatow or like some of the stuff Paul Rudd was doing, where
Mm-hmm.
uh, this movie is very good at like doing something, and then they'll add this extra line at the end that makes it even funnier. Uh, Ben Stiller does it several times in this movie, where he'll say something outlandish and then he'll just add something else, like maybe like like a half a minute or so later, that makes it even funnier. it, it's just like it almost feels like there's this awkwardness in the air where they'll leave this like awkward silence in between the joke to give you a chance to react to the funny bits of it, and then they'll hit you with another part that's even funnier.
It's two punchlines, man.
Yes. Yeah, like like for example, White in his office, he's like, yeah, unless you don't want to have to deal with the shackles of this boss and employee relationship, unless you're into that kind of thing, because I've got them.
No, really, I do. Yeah, it's like he does that crap. No, I'm just kidding. But really, I've got him. Yeah.
Yeah, he always does it with like this voice that he does every time. It's so funny. He's just like, yeah, from a book.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you reading the dictionary? Oh, you caught me. Like ridiculous. I like to, what does he say? I like to work out my brain, not just my body or something. Like, oh my God. You're an idiot.
So many ridiculous things he says in this movie, and his delivery on so many things. I think if he and so much of this cast did not fully commit to how ridiculous this movie was, it doesn't work.
Doesn't work. It's Santino Marella. It's Santino Marella. It's Danhausen. It's Goldust. You have to commit. If you don't commit, the audience is going to know you're phoning it in. But like they absolutely commit to everything they're doing here.
Yeah.
It's awesome. By the way, we're talking about the director. The guy hasn't done a whole lot. So this was his first movie, dude. Writing and directing,
This was his directorial debut.
Mm-hmm.
If you have the DVD and some of the things that he and the main stars of this movie did at that time was pretty innovative. What they did with the commentary for the movie, if you've ever listened to it,
Mm-hmm.
it's great. I don't know if you've
Awesome.
ever there's commentary, because at that time that was the rage to put the commentary in the movie through DVDs,
Yep.
and they recorded all this commentary, but they were doing it in character as themselves. So you had stuff like Vince Vaughn came in, and you can hear him while he's doing the recording, crinkling a bag of chips and eating chips and drinking and acting like he doesn't care. Like, all right, well, let's hurry up and get this over with. I got to get out of here. And Ben Stiller's doing the same thing. The director does it several times during the commentary. So funny.
Oh my God, that's great, man. I don't know that I have listened to the commentary. Did you get into commentaries when the DVD era was really happening?
Yeah, I think we got a lot of really cool things from that.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of behind the scenes bit, and I think the cool thing about that era of things not just being on VHS is you had all this extra content to go with your movie if you were into that. And sometimes we got some really cool stuff.
Yeah, dude, I got into it depending on who it was. I got to be honest. Sometimes when it was like the director and producer and like assistant director, whatever, I'm like, yeah, I don't really care. But when they got stars involved, that's when I started to really want to listen to it.
Yeah, so you got so many cool things like deleted scenes, or
Mm-hmm.
like some commentary on like some choices that you made, creative choices. And yeah, there's something I want to see if you've ever known about once we get into the ending of the movie. I won't I won't say it yet, but there's something on the DVD that again is part of them creating a bit with the DVD, which is incredibly innovative. Using that as a joke in itself is also very funny.
So did you dive into the menus to find Easter eggs? Because I did it all the time.
Oh yeah, I used to. It depends on the movie, of course, but I used to do that quite a bit.
That was always fun because it just never failed, dude. No matter what kind of movie it was, they almost always hid something. It just became a thing to do. Well, it was a different era, kids, I guess is what we're saying. 2004 was not quite the streaming age. DVDs were still holding on. And, I don't know about you, Phil, but I got stacks and stacks and stacks and more stacks of DVDs that now I randomly pull out if I can't find it on a streamer somewhere. But most of the time I just watch streamers. So one of these days, garage sale. That's all I can tell you. And hopefully find somebody that'll pick them up. But, yeah, anyway, like I said, folks, different age if you didn't come up during that era. But this guy, again, his first film was this. The Mysteries of Pittsburgh came 4 years later. Never seen that movie. And then he also did We're the Millers in 2013. It's okay. I like Sudeikis quite a bit. The movie's fine. 2016 was Central Intelligence with The Rock and Kevin Hart. I am not a huge fan of that movie. That's just me. Skyscraper in 2018. Again, it's The Rock. And then Red Notice in 2021 with, you guessed it, The Rock.
The Rock in here.
Yeah. So, yeah, they must be boys. I don't know. Maybe that's what's going on. But, yeah, I mean, dude, the first thing you hit out the gate is Dodgeball. It's not bad. I love the poster, by the way. One of the posters is like you just see the bottom of the shoes and the players laying there. It says, grab life by the ball. So it's not a bad little marketing campaign. I'm here for that. Well, let's talk about the cast here. We've already mentioned Vince Vaughn as Peter Pete LaFleur, and he is the owner of Average Joe's Gym. Great name for a gym, Average Joe's. Dude, Vince Vaughn's shtick is, I'm the everyday guy. I'm funny, but I'm easygoing. I'm a fast talker. I've got like one gag after another. Everything I do is just one-liners after another. And it's always, I love where your head's at. I've used that for years because of this guy. It's ingrained into my brain. I've used it a lot. Dude, this is Vince Vaughn in his prime in 2004, man. He's freaking wonderful in this movie. And as ridiculous as the characters are around him, he never gets ridiculous because he's just a normal, everyday guy, man. What do you think about Vince Vaughn here?
He's done many movies where he plays a very similar character that has failure to launch, or is like a guy growing up with Peter Pan syndrome, and but he's just so lovable, and everybody around him likes him because he's so easygoing, and he can quip with anybody, and that's the character here. But this didn't get to the point where he got later in his career where it felt like all of his characters got a bit derivative. Peter LaFleur, I would say, is one of the best variations of this character that he plays. There's so many. I mean, our first introduction to him, getting up in the morning, listening to the bill collector on the answer machine, and he's brushing his teeth and drinking Yoo-hoo at the same time.
You can have sugary chocolate drinks, Phil, when you're brushing your teeth. It cancels it out.
Man, I don't care how many times I've seen this movie from the beginning. I often forget he does this, but every time I see it and remember that he does it, I die laughing at it. When he gets in the car and he's trying to get the car to start, he's like, yep, this is going to be a good day.
Yeah.
And he bangs on the dashboard and he's like, I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
And the car starts going. And then the next thing you know, you cut to him coming around the corner with kids pushing the car.
Yeah, you guys are doing great. I really appreciate it. Yeah.
It's so funny. But I think there's so many things about it, especially the beginning of the movie and your introduction to him. So when he does kind of get down on his luck and he's just ready to give up, and it's like, well, wait a minute. That's not who you are. Like, you start this movie of just like, he's so easygoing and nothing gets him down. So when he is down, it's like, I mean, well, you of all people don't do this. Like,
yeah, dude. And his shtick, the thing where he talks to his car, that's kind of how he talks to everybody. It's like he is eternally optimistic and motivates everybody around him.
Yeah.
I freaking love that. Is this the best version of that character? Because, dude, you're not pressured to answer that because he's done this a lot, like you said. But is this like the best version of that character that he's ever done? Because I freaking love this.
It's either this or he is tremendous in Wedding Crashers. It's probably
Yeah.
possibly my favorite Vince Vaughn movie. He is so funny in the movie, man. But I that character is different in a lot of ways in here. It does have some of the same tendencies of, hey,
Mm-hmm.
guy that failure to launch, failure doesn't want to commit. And he kind of by the end of the movie, it's the friends we make along the way, and I grew up by the end of the movie. Yay.
Yep. Yep. The same thing with the Christmas movie that he did.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Four Christmases, right? I think is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a chick flick or a date movie. It's fine. But like, it's the same thing where by the end of it, he's grown up. He's grown up and learned a lesson.
Yeah. The breakup, same thing. Failure to launch, failure to commit. And by the end of the movie, he grows up.
The breakup, it's going to sound weird. The breakup was much more emotional in the end than I thought it would be. I thought it was just a stupid comedy. Dude, I thought he and Aniston did a bang up job in that film, man. I actually really like that movie.
Yeah, I think it's a very good movie. But
Yeah.
yeah, he's done several characters that are like that.
Yeah, I agree. I've mentioned Fred Claus before. It's the same character if you've not seen it, Phil, except he's a loser. He's an absolute loser. I mean, yeah, he's still an overgrown man child who never grew up, but he's also like, he's full of crap and he kind of knows he's full of crap and he tries to pull the wool over people's eyes and no one falls for it because they've heard the same shtick since he was a kid. But it's still another version of the same guy. Still another version of the same guy. So, yeah. Well, like I said, I think he's freaking great here. And I mean, his credit started in 91. This guy's a powerhouse. I mean, he's so freaking talented. By the way, have you checked out Bad Monkey on Apple TV yet?
I have not.
All right. I don't want to ruin it for you. But I was not happy with the ending. Okay. Well, it's worth a watch because it's really good storytelling. I like the ride. The dialogue is, look, the people behind that show is like, look, we got Vince, cool, right for Vince. Because man, the dialogue is tremendous.
Yes.
Tremendous. But the end, you're, at least for me, the end's like, come on. Right?
Yeah. What a what a great actor though. What a career. He's when I make fun of the fact that he has done a very similar character many times in his career. I hope that doesn't downplay just how great he is at that. And he's done other things that I love. I mean, like him and Be Cool as the bad guy, where he's like, he's got a black scent and all these other things. Very, very funny.
Black scent. I've never heard that used. Black scent. Is that a word?
It's kind of a slang word people
I got
use.
you. I've never heard that used before.
Very funny. Of course, famously, Wes Mantooth.
Yep.
And Anchorman, very funny as well. That's another one where every time I see it, like almost tears come streaming down my face, laughing so hard at it. When Ron is coming up the ladder at the end of the movie, and he's just like, "I just want to let you know that I pure straight hate you, but damn it, do I respect you." It's so funny every time, man.
So ridiculous, isn't it? Oh, that's really good. Yeah, I love this guy. We should just make a Vince Vaughn podcast, just a whole show. That'd be cool.
Yeah, so many things he's been in that he is very, very funny in. Of course, he's very funny in Curb Your Enthusiasm as well. He's in the last few seasons of it. Man, what an actor! What a guy! Chicago native. Well, famously Chicago native. Later in his career, Bears fan. Tortured Bears fan like the rest of us.
Tortured Bears fan. Yeah. He was also, I'm going to say also, he's in a bunch of stuff. He was in the Page movie as well, Fighting with My Family, playing a character that does not exist.
Yes.
And never happened in her story.
Yes.
But
we had to have a likable, relatable guy that works in that company to get you to relate.
Because there wasn't any. Can't put Matt Bloom out there because, a lot of different reasons for that. Yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm with you. He's insanely freaking talented, man. Insanely freaking talented. Guy is freaking great. Unless we haven't put him over enough here, kids. Let's talk about the villain, the heavy, utterly freaking ridiculous, is Ben Stiller as White Goodman. First of all, the name White Goodman is absolutely freaking ridiculous. The name is hokey as can be, but I love it because it is hokey. It's a name out of the 70s. The hair is out of the 70s. In fact, his whole persona feels like he was transplanted from one era to the next.
Yes.
We've done some Ben Stiller here, man. He is not always a hit with me because he like Vince, Phil, also plays the same version, different versions of kind of the same character. But oftentimes, at least for me, it's hard to watch because it's, I'm an idiot, I'm bumbling, I'm a buffoon. They get the best of me. And over a period of time, I'm like, I can't do this anymore. It's like Kevin Hart. I just can't do it anymore. It's just too much. You're an idiot. We get it. But like, he is fantastic here. He's so over the top. Dude, I love him in this movie, man.
I would submit that this is one of the best Ben Stiller movies.
I agree with that. I'm okay with that.
And I mean, who would have thought him just basically taking the character from Heavyweights and just basically doing it over in this movie as an older man. It's the same character. He plays it the exact same way. He just like, there's so many things about it. I mean, there's some things that he dialed up to 100 in this movie that are not in Heavyweights because, of course, that's kind of a children's movie. But I also just like when you deconstruct this movie and what it's supposed to be. You're right. He's straight out of the 70s, but his character is this amalgamation of the 70s sports movie bad guy. And like when you think of like all of these movies, like the rival from Teen Wolf, and just like how over the top he was for that era in the 80s, and just like Karate Kid, and just like on the other side, like who he's going against, like, and I mean, even just look at the way he dresses when they start playing dodgeball and he wears the headband. It just like immediately makes me think of Cobra Kai. They're even doing like, there's so many things about it that are like, that read like all of these great rivals or villains in these sports movies, and he just plays it to a T. He's got like this great handlebar mustache, all of these things that are just like, man, like the most stereotypical bad guy or high school bully stuff. He does several things in this movie that are just basically him bullying people, and it's so ridiculous. He does the Nelson Muntz line from Simpson of "Nobody makes me bleed my own blood." And that shouldn't work, but it works because he's doing this satire on the bully character in so many of these movies, and it's so funny.
And you can't, if this were real, you couldn't really be mad because he's too ridiculous. You almost think he's playing a joke on you.
It's so ridiculous. The commercial that they play at the beginning of the movie of him just being like, "Hey man, once you realize you hate yourself like me, then you can come in here and lose weight." And it's just like the whole commercial in itself is ridiculous. But I also think that the movie takes a complete turn, and it gets even funnier from the point of them winning the preliminaries to go to the dodgeball tournament. And he walks into that restaurant and he introduces his team. From then on, the movie just goes a completely different direction. I can't tell you how funny it is when he comes in there and introduces his team. And it's such a mundane thing that shouldn't be so funny, but it's one of the funniest scenes in the movie. It's just the way he comes in and he talks and he snaps his finger and they come in and he's like, "Yeah, let me introduce my team. Blade."
Yeah.
It's just with a complete straight face, just like no irony or anything to straight face. Blade. Blazer.
Yeah.
Laser.
Yeah.
And then he introduces the woman. Oh my God. He introduces a woman at the end. And
I don't have the name in
so
front of me. It's
ridiculous.
freaking great. Yeah.
Fran is her name, and she's got a last name that's so ridiculous from Romanovia.
Romanovia, yeah. Romanovia.
Oh,
That's on the made
yeah,
up countries list for comic books, I'm sure. Romanovia.
yeah, man. There's so much she does in this movie that is just so great and so funny. And at some point, you would think that he's got it turned up too high and he's doing too much, and maybe he should dial it back in some of these scenes. But it never stops being funny. Like, towards the end, because again, he's continuing to do all these bullying things. Another thing he does in the scene in the restaurant, he just randomly pushes a waitress down because he's just doing all these over the top bullying things. He's just walking around bullying everybody like he's in high school.
He does
So
it during the
ridiculous.
tournament. Doesn't he like flip a guy's food up out of his hands?
Yeah,
Right?
when they lose, he flips his food out of his hand and takes his hot dog. I mean, even the way he like throws that tantrum, uh, when he throws the tantrum at what is the woman's name? Is it Kate?
Kate.
Kate. Yes. When he throws the tantrum at Kate when she gets eliminated and hits her in the face with the ball. It's such a teenage like prepubescent bully thing to do when you don't get your way. Oh, this girl likes somebody else. So I'm just gonna be over the top with it. Um, but even in the scene where he thinks he's won and the noises he's making when he thinks he's won, again, all of this stuff shouldn't be nearly as funny. But uh, Vin Vaughn hits his consigliere Michelle with the ball, and he just like unceremoniously hits Finn with the ball and eliminates him. And he's like, woo! It's so funny. And then when he realizes his foot is online, he's like, no, even before that, when he throws the ball at Kate, he's like, what do you mean? We're out here sweating like grease monkeys. I can't be expected to hold on to the ball.
Yeah. Yeah, because when his foot's on the line, he says to the ref, that's complete bullcrap. Like it just, again, it sounds like a 12-year-old yelling.
Yeah, what kind of call is this? You're gonna hit me with that kind of call? We're out here working hard.
Yeah. Oh my God. We have seen him again because the director came back and it was an online video short and it's called Play Dodgeball.
Yes.
Yeah. And I do.
It's a charity thing, right?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at this point, I would love to see this character pop up in something else.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Jane Silent Bob. I'd like to see this character pop up in other films. I think that'd be wonderful.
Yeah, he's so funny in this movie.
He's so good.
And just like the idea of this being this parody of sports movies, and you get the most over the top sports movie villain that you could possibly get. And he's so ridiculous. He's so dumb and just cruel for no reason. It's so funny. He's so insecure and like it's so great.
It's so great. By the way, it's Stanislavski Davidovsky, right? It's like, I think it's Davidovsky, or I don't know. My God, it's like 40 letters in that name.
But this is prime example of what I said earlier of how they'll do something where that's the punchline of how long her name is and how ridiculous it is, and she has this grin with these dumb fake teeth in, and then you get the spit take from Justin that makes it funnier, and you get their reaction to her, and then all of a sudden, Lady in Red.
Yes. Oh, God. It's ridiculous. Yeah, again. But that's why it's so good. That's why it's so good. Yeah, he's like, and again, the dialogue. I think the dialogue between him and Peter, well, really him and anybody is just fantastic.
Yeah, of course, he has great chemistry with his real life wife in this movie. That is very funny. But yeah, his chemistry with Vince Vaughn in this movie is so great because Vince is just kind of like, okay, pal, that's kind of weird, but all right.
Stiller does have comic timing. I'll give him that. He's excellent.
Great comic timing. I mean, go figure. son of two very famous
Yep.
comedians.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, this guy, he gets it. He's got great comedic timing. I mean, just his delivery of the lines and like just his way, he'll leave this dead air out there, and then he'll just be like, "Yeah,"
Yeah.
like
He's like, go ahead, make your jokes, Mr. Jokey joke maker, but let me hit you with some knowledge. Quit now. Save yourself the embarrassment of losing with these losers in Las Vegas, LaFleur.
you,
And Peter's
you,
like, alliteration aside, I'd take my chances in the tournament. Yeah, you will take your chances. I know I just said that. I know you just said that. Okay, I'm not sure we're going with this. Well, I'm not sure where you're going with this. He's like, that's what I said. That's what I'm saying to you. Peter's like, all right. Well, he just waits and goes, touche. Like, because he has no idea how to finish it.
like the voice he's using and the way that he argues, does it not sound like Muscle Man?
Oh my God, it does sound like Muscle Man.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's so clear what they're riffing off of here, of like the bully. It's so funny.
Oh no, bro. Yeah. Oh my God. It does sound like Muscle Man. Now I'll never not hear it. That's wonderful.
Boink Studios is the home of Tom Clark's Main Event, Tom Clark's 6M podcast, and Two Nations Under Ted, a Ted Lasso podcast. Visit the site today for links to every podcast platform, social media, special announcements, and a lot more. Check out the site and bookmark today, boinkstudios.com.
Again, we could do a whole episode on Ben Stiller, this guy. Well, just this character. My God.
In case people don't understand what I'm saying here, Muscle Man, of course, is a character from the regular show.
Yep.
And Muscle Man is also a riff off of like the bully characters from some of these 80s and 70s movies and TV shows. And so it's so funny that when you look at Muscle Man and think like, all right, that's exactly what Ben Stiller was doing.
Yeah. He's like, this is it, la loser. You ready for the hurricane? Peter says, just don't go crying to your mommy when I spank her for all these people. Why? You don't go crying to your daddy after I wipe it with your face. What?
See what I'm saying? Like you could easily hear him saying, hey, you know who else might cry afterwards?
Yeah.
My mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, no, his delivery, like a lot of his dialogue is just so funny. When he's at the house and he's like, "Oh, I get it. You've got the scent of a lesser stag in your nostrils."
Yeah. The scent of a lesser stag in your... Who talks that way?
That's what I'm saying. It's so over the top. He's like the most over the top sports villain you could possibly think of.
Yeah. Dude in the 70s talked that way. That's who talks that way.
Yeah, I mean, and there's so many things that I can tell they're riffing off of. Like, if you have never seen Over the Limit, oh my God. It's one of those all-time terrible movies that it's funny just to watch it and laugh at how bad it is. It's one of those Stallone movies that is definitely a relic of that time period. But
you talking about Over the Top?
Yes.
Oh my God, yeah. Oh, Jesus.
What a relic of that time period. But there's so many bits from that, and like that time period and what like the sports movie and the sports movie villain, and that's what I'm saying. There's so many things like you could take bits from so many movies and see it in this character. It works perfectly with what they're trying to do.
Yeah, dude. My God. When I was a kid when that movie came out, and it was like, I mean, I loved Stallone. I loved Rocky. I loved Cobra and Rambo and all that. So, I mean, of course I watched it. And then as I got older, I was like, oh, this is not really a good movie. Like, you know, I mean, I had awareness at the time, don't get me wrong, but still, you find out much later as you become a man.
Yeah, there's so many things about it that are very, very funny. I don't want to get into a tangent about Over the Top, and like there's things like him because Stallone is the main character in this movie, is a truck driver, and
Mm-hmm.
so he has this kid in the cab next to him, and he's driving down a highway, and he's like exercising his biceps on the weight machine while he's driving the truck. It's so ridiculous, man.
Oh my God.
What is the main song from it? Meet Me at the Top or something like that?
Something like that. Yeah. Jesus.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it is
Meet Me
truly.
Halfway. That's what it is.
Meet me halfway. It is
Kenny
truly-
Loggins, Meet Me Halfway. That's what it is.
And Kenny Loggins was the man for 80s soundtracks. Like, he did a lot of them.
This is a movie about arm wrestling, and it has this slow ballad that plays throughout it. It's so funny.
It does. Yeah.
Oh man, the 80s. What a time.
I know. Hey, listen, that was my era. And anytime I see 80s retrospectives or those social media posts talking about the 80s were the best, I'm like, yeah, nah. I mean, no, I'm good. Yeah. I'd rather leave it behind me. I'm good. Like, sorry, that's how I feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But yeah, this movie does not work without Ben Stiller. As great as Vince Vaughn is in this movie, in a lot of ways, Ben Stiller stole the show. He's just so funny in this movie.
He does. And when he's talking to Kate, he says, we should meet. And she's like, what? Date. We should date sometime, socially. Go out and kick it. And she does that thing. And he goes, are you okay? I love how he just goes, are you okay? And she's like, I'm fine. I just threw up my mouth a little bit. Dude, that line, I think, Phil, isn't this the first time this was used in a film?
Yes, and it became like a meme and all of these jokes after that.
Yes.
But again, they have such great chemistry. The way he's talking to her in the office, and he's like scooting up on her the entire time he's talking to.
What about when he inflated his crotch in those shorts?
Oh my God. And ran up the stairs to make it seem like he's walking down the stairs reading a book.
Yeah. Absolutely ridiculous. Oh my God.
It's me grabbing a bull by the horns.
Yeah.
It's a metaphor.
Yeah. But it really happened. Yeah. Also really happened. Yeah. Dude, I'm with you. It's not the same movie.
No.
Not the same movie. Christine Taylor, who is Kate, she's a real estate and tax lawyer assigned by the bank to sort out the finances of Average Joe's Gym. Dude, like you said, on-screen chemistry with her husband here. She is great in this movie. Her performance is very understated. She does what she needs to do. She never hams it up. Yes. And she just feels like a normal guy. She even seems more normal than Peter does, which is hard to do.
Yes.
But she's great.
Yeah, she's really the straight person for the movie. Because even LaFleur has his moments where he's doing ridiculous things like, wait a minute. But she is just kind of responding to all this stuff in real time as it's happening. She, of course, has been around for a long time. One of the Brady Bunch movie alums that are in this movie.
That's right.
Of course, she's Marcia Brady in that movie. She's been in several movies with Ben Stiller because, of course, they have a real-life relationship, famously in Zoolander, and a bunch of his other movies. But I submit, not just that she had great chemistry here with Ben Stiller, but I thought she also had really good chemistry with Vince Vaughn. And they felt believable as a couple several times in this movie. Yeah. Like the way they argue back and forth, kind of like a married couple, and the way she's just kind of like acting like she's not into him, and he's kind of like, I kind of think you are. And it's just such a believable relationship. It's such a believable budding relationship for most of the movie.
It is. Like if you didn't know any better, you'd think that they're dating.
Yeah.
Really, you're right. Yeah, it really did feel like they had serious, like possibly off-screen chemistry as well.
Yes. But yeah, also very attractive in this movie. I feel like I've seen her in other things, and I was like, she always this attractive? Very attractive in this movie.
She's very pretty. She's a little thin for me, but she's pretty.
Yeah. But she does kind of outlandish things as well, and she just kind of plays it off like what? Like her being good at softball, and she's just kind of like, or I like unicorns.
Oh. Okay. All right. Hold on. So is she the most normal? Because we did get that unicorn reveal about her. I don't know.
I think that's also kind of like when he when White is trying to go, well, you like those freaks over there, and she's like, they're normal people like we are, and it's kind of like, well,
Ah.
she relates to them in a lot of ways because she's not as normal as people would want to make her out, but also White is not a normal person either.
That's fair. Yeah.
He's a total cartoon character as well.
Also, was she so normal that they had to give her something, you think? Was it just too perfect?
Yeah.
Like, guys got to give her something. I know. Let's make her nuts about unicorns. Kind of a little too insane about them.
Yeah, they did the 70s or 80s or whichever era sports movie trope with the girl where it's just like, hey, she's the nerdy banker person that comes in and talks to the main jock of the movie. But look, later she takes her glasses off and takes her hair down, and look, she's really pretty. It's
funny how that happens.
Yeah. They do that several points here. Then they do like the tomboyish thing with her being good at sports, so she has to be a lesbian, which is an ongoing joke throughout the movie as well.
Yes. And there comes the part where I mentioned when we kicked the show off, there's certain words we're not going to really repeat here. That they mention when describing her. Yeah.
Probably not in good taste, but Rip Torn probably has the best use of it throughout the entire movie.
Yes.
And it's very funny when he said it. I'm just like,
who cares? That can play. Like, I don't know.
Well, he does it twice. He did it twice. I'm sorry. When he's like, man, you're a born leader, LaFleur. He's like, those guys and that, they believe in you.
Oh, man. Yeah. Not the worst word you can use, I'm sure, for them, but probably not one they want to hear too awful much. So, yeah. Wow. But no, at the time, again, it was 2004. Well, I don't want to skip over Christine too soon here. She is, again, I love that what you said about, she's one of the characters that takes the glass off, lets her hair down, and suddenly she's hot, and she's the romantic love interest in when before she wasn't. But, White has to he doesn't have to. White gets her fired so he can, because he tells her, remember he picks the flower and he's like, they had great news, you're fired. And she's like, what? Like, yeah, you're fired. I told him that, what does he say? He said you had a raging drug addiction or something. They totally believe me. Yeah.
I told him you were drinking on the job and they totally believe me.
Yeah.
She's like, wait a minute. How do you know where I live? He's like, the Free Information Act.
Yeah.
He's finally got something right.
And then blows it off like it wasn't a big deal.
Again, the white in this movie, he shows up in this white outfit with the collar propped up and he's got an ascot on.
Yes. He tells her, he says, I'm here to begin my courtship with you, Kate. As if it was a predetermined move that she knew was coming. Like, doesn't she have to agree to that first? Oh my God. Man. I'm here to begin my courtship with you. Said no one ever. Maybe in like the 1800s they said it, or the 1600s. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's right up there with We Should Mate.
We should mate. Oh my God. That's freaking great, man. When he came on, because I can't stop. By the way, I'm skipping back to White because he's freaking great. When he skips back to the beginning here, and he's like, we at Globo Gym, we understand that ugliness and fatness are genetic disorders, much like baldness and necrophilia. And it's only your fault if you don't hate yourself enough to do something about it. Necrophilia, he says. All right.
God, man. It's so funny.
Globo Gym employs a highly trained quasi-cultural staff. I don't know what that means. Quasi-cultural staff of personal alterational specialists. And with our competitively priced on-site cosmetic surgery, we could turn that Frankenstein you see in the mirror every morning to a Frankenfine. Of course, you'll still be you in a legal sense, but think of it as a thinner, more attractive.
Legal sense?
Yes, it keeps going. A thinner, more attractive, better you than you could ever become without us. What about when he's climbing the wall and he does, he does that laugh during that bit? Oh my God, dude.
That commercial at the beginning is so funny.
So good. It's up there with the commercials on Tropic Thunder, honestly.
Yes.
I mean, it could be that's where they fitted in to Tropic Thunder was the idea was from this. That's awesome. Well, again, kids, we got a lot of cast to hit here, but it's hard to stop talking about that guy, man.
I mean, he's done bits like that for a good amount of his career, where he's done like a random cameo here or there, or he's done like these ads. Because I mean, Cable Guy is a divisive movie, but it also has
Mm-hmm.
bits like that.
It does. I'm back and forth on Cable Guy. I haven't seen it in a long time. I kind of feel like it's one of those movies that might change as the years go by on your like what your opinion of it is. So I don't know. I haven't watched it in a good long time.
Very weird movie.
It is a very weird movie. So let's talk about some other cast here. We mentioned Rip Torn as Patches. Patches O'Houlihan, a retired 7-time ADAA, American Dodgeball Association of America, who coaches the Average Joe's Gym. He has played his younger self in that old grainy, well, supposed to be a grainy, 50s film by Hank Azaria. Hank Azaria is the man. He's freaking amazing. He's fantastic. But I did notice that when Hank Azaria is doing young Patches, he's like the American Dodgeball Association, you know. But then when you see Patches as an old man, he doesn't sound like that at all.
No.
Which is funny. Maybe life just beat him down, Phil. Maybe that's what happened.
Yeah, I mean, just the idea that you have this distinct change with him, and there's no explanation to any of this. Like, he's this rundown, drunk, vulgar old man in a wheelchair, and you have no backstory on how he goes from like this kind of handsome, all-star athlete to this, like this broken down
Nothing.
mentor, which again is another trope from the sports movie of like the old man that you don't think should be good at something, but also he's the master at something. Hence Mr. Miyagi and so many other characters.
Ah, well done. Yeah. It's off-putting that the least likely person would actually know how to do something.
Yes. And
Yeah.
so just this idea that he was very good at something at one point, and he doesn't look like he's good at it at all anymore.
No.
And he is the guy that is mentoring someone. That's a big time sports trope.
Oh my God.
Sports movie trope.
Absolutely. Dude, it's a very, very common thing. And in other kinds of movies too. It could be a sport or a skill or something that, you know, well, there's no way this guy could be good at it. He's old and broken down. And then you're like, oh my God, it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, but the great Hank Azaria, great voice actor, of course, known most from his work on Simpsons and a bunch of other stuff that he's done. I did not realize that was him after several times watching this movie until I paid attention to his voice, and I was like, sounds familiar. And then when I saw the credits, I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. I love that Simpsons cast has gotten out into the world through the years, and, you know,
yeah,
it's just, God, he's so freaking good. And I know you're not much of a Friends guy, but he had a recurring role on Friends as Phoebe's boyfriend. He's fantastic. And and when his character spoke, well, he's one of the, not stuttering, but very socially awkward, but funny at the same time. I'm like, this is absolutely who this guy is. Like, he nailed it. In other words, he's really good, man.
Yeah. But I love also in the 70s, where I don't know where the footage is from, what era it's from, but in the older footage, and he's got the pointy mustache, he's got the jacket and kind of like this scarf, like he's this like heroic fighter pilot or something.
Yes, that's right.
And, even in that, I like the bit that he almost encourages the kid in the movie to be a bully.
Yes.
Which, I mean, if you can add your headcanon to this, of he was very good at dodgeball, and he encouraged people to be a bully. But when you flip where he's at in the future, where we see him in the wheelchair and broken down in this bar, he does the opposite. He doesn't pick the teams that's the strong and like the strongest team in the yard that can beat anybody. He does the opposite. He picks the kids that he told them not to pick in the video.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. You're right. He says, just remember, he says, dodgeball is a sport of violence, exclusion, and degradation. So when you're picking players in gym class, remember to pick the bigger, stronger kids for your team.
Mm-hmm.
That way you can all gang up on the weaker ones, like Winston here. And then they nail the poor kid in the face and knock him down.
And then he just laughs at him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that. I've never noticed that, but I've watched this movie so many times. I didn't notice it initially, but there's almost a parallel between this video and him teaching people how to play dodgeball and who White really is, and like this idea that
Ooh.
beaten down in life, Patches later on realized that's not the way to be, and he picked the weaker people to teach them how to play dodgeball because he spent his life being a bully.
That's freaking great. You are probably giving this film way more weight than it deserves, but that is a great observation, man.
I that had to be intentional though. I think
It
just
could
the
be.
idea, because I mean, Justin is very much the kid that he wouldn't have picked in that movie.
That's true. Yeah. Oh my God, I can't wait to get there. He's so great. I love how when he's giving Hank Azaria's giving the speech that we just talked about. He's like, just remember the 5 Ds of dodgeball. Dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge. But he hesitates as if he doesn't know the 5th one. So I'm thinking, was that the 5th one? Because he's visibly searching his brain to see what it is. And I'm like, maybe dodge was never the 5th one, and they just said it was after he did that video.
This is the genius and the stupidity of this movie, that they do that gag twice in the same scene, and it's funny both times. The American Dodgeball Association of America.
Yeah.
And they do the same thing with the 5 Ds, and it's still funny.
It's so good. Got it. Yeah. The same jokes keep getting a laugh over and over and over again in this movie.
Which is part of them doing a satire. Boy, the ending of this movie and the satire they do at the ending of this movie is also genius, and it's very, very funny.
So good.
But yeah, Patches, he's another one where his one-liners are so great. Of course, if you could dodge a wrench, you could dodge a ball.
What? Just as like, what? And then bam, right in the face.
And just to add to my theory, he's the hardest on Justin of anybody else on this team, because he's
true.
like, bro, I'm going to bully you and beat on you until you're good at this. Like, I'm going to do this until you believe in yourself. And yeah, just that story in itself, that is also a sports movie trope. But yeah, Patches is great. Patches is such a funny character. The great Rip Torn, by the way. He's been in so many great movies. He's been a great comedic actor. Just he's fantastic here.
He's so good. My God. And everything he does is good. Like, I mean, I can't begin to name everything he's done. Men in Black, of course. But yeah, there's well, let's see here. A quick look at his filmography, kids. This guy probably started in the 70s. Let's see here. No, I'm sorry. 1956.
Whew.
Yeah. He's been acting for a little while, I suspect. Dodgeball, of course, in 2004. And I'm skipping around here, kids. He was a voice in B Movie. He was in, his last movie was 2012. Put it that way. But yeah, true legend, man. And we lost him, unfortunately, July 9th, 2019. He was 88 years old. And that's a shame.
Rest in peace to the great Rip Torn, man. He gave us so many great moments as an actor, so many great comic performances, man.
Yeah, for sure. He was in both Men in Black movies. I don't see Men in Black 3 on here. Men in Black 3 is not on here.
He wasn't in Men in Black 3 because if I remember correctly, he was replaced as the head of the agency by Emma Thompson.
That's right. I have not a lot of memories of that, but yeah, he's
also starring Mike Coulter, who is Agent J's dad.
Well done. Yeah, well done. Folks, if you don't know who Rip Torn is, I feel bad for you. I mean, he also had a lot of stuff in TV starting in 57 and his TV career all the way up through 2016. He was on 30 Rock for 7 episodes. He did some Law and Order. He did some Will and Grace, The Larry Sanders Show, Columbo. I mean, anybody who was anybody was on Columbo at the time, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of stuff he did, man. Excellent guy. Just really good stuff in here.
Just to drive home my point about the comedic timing in this movie, about how they leave dead air in a scene and then add the punchline later. When LaFleur is looking in his scarf and he, like, the ghost of him is talking to him and he gives him the advice and he just sits there for a second. He's like, bye-bye.
Yeah. Because you're like, why is he still there? Oh, it's great. Necessary? Is it necessary for me to drink my own urine? No, but it's sterile and I like the taste. I'm like, dude, it's freaking terrible, man. Oh my God.
So many great one-liners. You couldn't hit water if you fell out of boat.
Yeah. He's great. And dude, the sound of the ball. That sound of the ball. Dude, to this day, if I hear just the sound, I know that's a dodgeball. Yeah. I mean, I know it, Phil, because I was the fat kid in school, so I know what it's like to get hit by the dodgeball at 100 miles an hour in the face. It sucks. But I know that sound, that rubber ball, from back at school, man. Jesus. I've got like PTSD from that. But yeah, he's great here. Justin Long as Justin Redmond, the ageless Justin Long. This guy looks the same today as he did in 2004. I mean, it's like Tom Holland. It's like, any number of other actors that I'm not remembering at the moment that just Charlie Sheen is aged. How does Charlie Sheen, by the way, not look like a bucket of crap at this point in his life after everything he's put his own body through?
Who knows? I
don't know, dude. Only the finest plastic surgeons and personal trainers for the rich and famous. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But Justin Long's great in this movie, dude. I love him so much. He did a fantastic job here.
Yeah, very funny in here. Of course, Justin Long is here with another alumni from Galaxy Quest. He also famously in Jeepers Creepers, if you like horror movies. Man, he's done so many different movies, so many different genres. But he is very, very funny in it. Again, his comedic timing in this of just his blank stare at certain points when somebody says something, because he's just kind of like, wait a minute, huh? Or like when he walks in, when they're trying to find out where LaFleur and Steve the Pirate are, and he comes in and he's like, well, you're time to help us forfeit. And he's just like, what? And he just kind of looks around with this blank stare on his face. But man, the scenes with Patches doing the bits with like the car, or you could dodge a car, you could dodge a ball, you could dodge a wrench, you could dodge a ball. That does not hit as well, and it's not nearly as funny if Justin selling it and yelling in the background isn't as funny.
Because when he hits him with the wrench, that bit of him on the floor takes like an hour. They kept cutting to him, and he's like, "Oh my God!" He's like really covering his face and really grieving.
It's so funny, man.
Yeah. Oh, I would love to know the direction. It's like, dude, you just got hit by a bus. Really sell this. Like, oh my God, it's fantastic. So good. Yeah. He's great in this, man. And he's got a thing for Amber. Amber is the perkiest cheerleader you've ever met. And obviously likes him from the moment we see her in the flashback. Obviously likes him. But he's such a kid that he doesn't understand how to talk to girls, and it's too hard. And we've all been there. So, yeah.
But he, again, amalgamation of all of these great sports movie tropes. He is, of course, the ultimate underdog, the nerdy kid that somehow comes into his own and has his heroic moment. He's Lucas. All of these nerdy characters that fit into this bit that ends up having their big moment by the end of the movie. Yeah. Rudy, whoever you want to throw in.
Yeah, name it, throw it in. Yeah, everybody has them.
By the way, Vince Vaughn was in Rudy.
He was in Rudy. That's right. Well done. I can't find the actress that was Amber. Wait, I got it. Let's see. Julie Gonzalo as Amber, the cheerleader. She hasn't changed much either since this film happened. She's done other stuff. She's done Veronica Mars and Eli Stone. She's been on Dallas when they brought Dallas back, and she was in Supergirl. So yeah, she's done some other stuff. I like her a lot.
Yeah, the fact that the name of the team that they're cheerleading for is the Donkeys.
Oh my God.
And they're playing that song during the bit where they're doing the cheerleading competition. That is also very funny.
Did you notice how the routine took like 12 seconds and then it was over?
Yes. Again, sports movie trope of like him showing up and perfectly doing this routine. You haven't seen him do any of this at any point in the movie, but he just shows up and he's able to do it. He remembers the entire routine, even though he was not a member of the team.
Yeah. And by the end of the film, as we see, I guess we are to believe they're married and she's pregnant.
Yeah. Inexplicably, all of these things work out for him because that's usually how these things happen in these sports movies, where once the nerd overcomes and he becomes the hero of the movie, then everything works out for him. Because of course.
There's dude, it's because sports, like these metaphors in these sports movies, like it's not really about the game. It's about persevering and, making it happen and like pulling it from your guts, right?
Yes.
And finding a way to win. And that it does impact, like, those guys that peaked in high school, all they can talk about was that college football game or that high school football game that they lost or that they won, because that was their peak. Like that was their entire lives were predicated after that one event.
Yes. But yeah, just as usual with these kind of things and the nerd character getting their moment in the game. When he comes into his own, when he's the only member in there with all of the purple cobras and they're like toying with him and he's just like dodging all of these balls with ease and like just that idea of, like I said, that Patches was the hardest on him of anybody. But when Peter was like, let's do this for Patches, and he's the one that plays the best in that game.
Mm-hmm.
He saves them from losing the game.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Tom Clark's 6M podcast is sponsored in part by Radius Law Group. Every day, Radius helps individuals, families, small businesses, and nonprofit organizations throughout North Carolina, Florida, and Pennsylvania resolve their legal issues by providing effective legal counsel in the areas of estate planning, as well as elder law and Medicaid. Radius Law holds the radical belief that working with a lawyer can indeed be enjoyable. So give them a call at 1-800-519-5667 for more information and tell them that Tom Clark's 6M podcast sent you. Oh, this movie's so ridiculous. I'm watching it again as we're doing this. It's absolutely ridiculous. We got to talk about another guy that you can compare to Rip Torn in as much as being a character actor, and he's got great timing. He's hilarious, or he could do drama if he wanted to. Stephen Root as Gordon Pibb. Gordon is almost an ordinary guy here, Phil. I mean, he has moments of being very coherent and not weird. And then there's other moments where he's like, yeah, he's as clueless as any of the rest of these characters are.
Yeah.
But Stephen Root, as we know, Milton from Office Space, man.
Yes. One of my favorite characters in this movie. He's so ridiculous. Just
Love
like,
it.
Again, he's another one of those nerd characters in this movie that overcomes like his fear of standing up to the bullies. He's kind of this amalgam of this character that's just like a meek and I can't stand up for myself because I'm fine. Everything. I mean, which basically is in some ways his character from Office Space, of just this meek guy that won't stand up for himself. And so he's just like, I can't lose my temper. I'm fine. I'm an easygoing guy. I'm smart and happen to know all these things about dodgeball, and I happen to know all of these random factoids. I love at the beginning of the movie when he walks in and he's doing like that sprint when he's walking around the gym.
Yes.
It's not even a sprint. It's like a power walk.
It's like a power walk. Yeah, he's kind of a loser. He does not mean to be a loser. He's a good guy, but he's kind of maybe loser is a strong word, but he's kind of a flake. He's kind of flake. I don't know what the word is. He's an unintentional kind of nerdy guy.
Well, I mean, all of the average Joes are losers.
Sure.
That's their bit.
Sure.
And I mean, even Peter LaFleur, to a degree, he's just the coolest of all the losers. He's the one that just seems like he has it together, but just his failure to launch and all these other things makes him a loser compared to everybody outside of their bubble.
Yeah, dude, that's well said. Yeah, by the way, when he's talking to Peter in the hallway and he's talking about, what is it, Obscure Sports Quarterly, and he's talking about the games being on ESPN 8, the Ocho, and they ran with that.
Yeah, that is one of the funniest bits from this, the Ocho, and just like the coverage of sports, very, very funny. The fact that then became a running gag that ESPN actually used is very funny.
So great.
But yeah, I think he has good chemistry with Vince as well. When he's trying to explain to Vince, we can't give up, and LaFleur is just like, listen, man, we tried our best. I'm going to go throw on the song, and we're going to tear this place up.
Yeah. Look, guys, if we can't raise $50,000 with a a charity car wash, in just like less than 30 days, then I don't know what else we can do. Like, he's messing with them. Like, he's obviously knew it wasn't going to work,
There's so many.
So many quick one-liners.
There's so many visual bits, like them standing there. When it cuts to the car wash scene, you have Steve doing a yahar, and then it cut to the car wash scene. There's all these hot women washing cars, and you're like, "Oh, this is a smart idea. It's working." Yeah. And then you cut to them standing across the street watching women washing the cars.
It's like, we've only got the one guy over there in Steven's voice. We've only got the one guy over there, and he's been paying Justin to keep washing his truck. And it's like this redneck. He's like, yeah, getting there real nice and deep like. It's like, dude, oh my God,
very
man.
Creepy with his dog barking at him.
Yeah. By the way, did you notice that it only took 45 minutes for us to get to Vegas? It feels like they got to Vegas very quickly. At the halfway point of the film, they're already in Vegas at the halfway point.
Yeah, because again, sports movie trope of not going from not being good at the sport to training montage to
yes.
All right, now we've got to get to it. We got to win this competition.
Dude, yeah. I can't say enough good things about this, man. And like, it's full of tropes from start to finish. Here's the trope that no one saw coming, least of all me. We have a pirate in this movie. And I'm like, of all the things you could have done, the choice for a pirate is among the most confusing. But if this means that we got Alan Tudyk in the movie, I'm okay with it. Because Alan Tudyk could read the phone book and make it a hit. This guy is fantastic as Steve the Pirate. Freaking wonderful. What do you think about Alan Tudyk here?
Alan Tudyk is amazing. He's been in so many different movies. He is a tremendous comedic actor as well.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like I said, this movie only works because this cast of great comedy supporting characters commits to the bit.
Mm-hmm.
And he completely commits to this bit as Steve the Pirate. It's such a ridiculous character. It does not fit this movie at all, but it's so funny.
Not at all.
He has so many different moments where his reaction to it is like, I say, yar! Yeah. And it's just like, wait, what?
And he tells him at the beginning he can't pay his fee. And he's like, but I'll make good for it on a barter. It's like, I'll share me treasure with you. I mean, when I find it, that be. Like, he's visibly vexed that he can't find the treasure.
It's so stupid.
Even he buys into his own bit,
It's so stupid. And again, the moment where all of these guys break character, like when LaFleur breaks character and he's not like the optimistic guy on the team and he's downtrodden and he looks him dead in the eye. He's like, Steve, you are not a pirate.
Yeah.
And it feels like because you like this character and he's so funny that it feels like such a mean thing to say in that moment. Like, well, how could he do that to Steve, though?
Dude, to your point, they did so well that was a gut punch.
Yes.
And he didn't curse him. He didn't yell. He didn't call him a bad name. All he did was say, Steve, you are not. And that was it. Oh, my God. It was great.
Yeah, but again, that's how stupid this movie is. Mm-hmm. But you've bought into this world of all of these losers on this team, and that's kind of the magic of sports as well. If you once you root for a side, like you'll go for anything. And boy, do I know this as a citizen from a city that is rooted for losers for our entire existence. And so when you root for this band of lovable losers, it's just like, well, you can't do that to Steve. He's our guy.
Yeah.
He might be a loser, but he's our loser.
Yeah. He's one of us. You can't be mean to him. Yeah. Dude.
There's so many moments where they're doing these bits on this character getting bullied, walking down the street, go back to Treasure Island.
Yeah. Because here's what would happen. In a city that has shows every night, a group of kids would throw stuff at him and make fun of him for dressing like a pirate. Yeah, okay, sure. But it's going to happen in this movie because it's another trope they have to include, Phil.
Yes.
Oh, that's wonderful. I've not thrown much trivia in here because this cast is so big, so we're going to get to some stuff, but I got to throw a few things in here. According to many cast members, the hardest part of filming the dodgeball scenes was not flinching when they knew they were about to be hit by a ball.
Ooh, I have to imagine.
By the way, this reminds me, if you've ever been to the Three Stooges, and if you don't, I don't know, but because I don't know, because Three Stooges are modern art. But by the way, are you into Three Stooges?
Not really.
No,
Kind of before my time.
well, that's fair, but still, it's art. But for the reactions when they would have pie fights, because they had them all the time, to get genuine reactions off camera, they would say, okay, we're going to throw the pie on 3. And they would go 1, 2, and then throw on 2. So you'd get more visibly surprised reactions from people when they get hit by pies. That's what it reminded me of. But I found that to be pretty good. By the way, this is awesome. Adult dodgeball leagues began to spring up across the country around the time of the movie's release. In fact, Gary Cole, we'll go ahead and mention Gary Cole, was even invited to a tournament in Chicago, Illinois.
Yeah. So glad that Gary Cole was in this movie. Of course, Gary Cole was the second Brady Bunch alum that I mentioned earlier because he was Mike Brady in those movies.
That's right. He's also Office Space.
Yes.
Interconnected.
Office Space alum. Because, of course, he was the villain of the movie in a loose term.
Lumberg. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lumberg Efter. Just that guy. I can't get her. We're talking about Lumberg Efter. Wait, what? Bill Lumberg? Yeah. Everybody knows about it.
Yeah. Yeah, just the idea of him being in this movie and him being just like this straightforward commentary guy for something that is absolutely ridiculous.
And perfect in the role, too, by the way.
Yes.
Oh.
Very funny. He very much fits that role of a play-by-play commentary and his color guy and what that would be for this outlandish sport.
Cotton McKnight. Cotton McKnight. And of course, his broadcast partner is the great Jason Bateman as Pepper Brooks.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm being told that Average Joe's does not have enough players and will be forfeiting the championship match. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Yeah, they're so great on commentary. They are very funny. And in all of the dodgeball scenes, they make those scenes even better.
Oh, I don't know how they got through it. In 23 years of broadcasting, I thought I'd seen it all, folks. But it looks like Peter LaFleur has actually blindfolded himself. Yeah, he will not be able to see very well, Cotton. Great, man. Yeah, their back and forth is a highlight of the movie, if I can be honest. It's a highlight in a movie that was already great.
Yes.
Also, we talked about the wrenches and Justin Long taking the brunt of this. You notice in certain scenes of this movie, he's actually got a damage, like he's got a cut eyebrow. That was real. He got cut open by the first wrench thrown at him. The wrenches were made of rubber, but the first one was harder than all the others.
Oh, wow.
That tells you how hard so when he reacts, that's a real reaction. Not on the floor, I'm sure. But when he takes it in the face, that's a real, oh my God. What a great thing.
Yeah, what a good sport.
Many studios, including DreamWorks Pictures and MGM, passed on this movie. 20th Century Fox finally agreed when Stiller reduced his salary to well under $1 million.
Wow.
As of March 2005, the movie had grossed over $124 million, and that was just a year after it had been made. It already grossed that much money, and he took under $1 million for it. By the way, you're talking about the DVD commentary earlier on. The unrated DVD contains a fake commentary where Ben Stiller and two main actors do nothing but fight, as well as claim to hate each other before storming out 40 minutes in.
Yes.
And it's then replaced with a commentary for There's Something About Mary.
Yes.
There
That's
you
why
go.
I was trying to tell you that so innovative at the time that they even used the commentary for the DVD to create a bit. They also used the commentary to create this urban myth about the ending of the movie.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So there has been a myth for a while that the ending of the movie was supposed to be with the Purple Cobra winning the game, and then it just cut off. Now, that would have fit this movie, but it wouldn't have worked. But it would have been very funny to do this satire on sports movies and just have the bad guys win. Because that's of course the realistic thing to happen in a lot of these
Sure.
sports movies,
Sure.
where this nerd just gets very good at a sport. No, they're going up against a bunch of guys that are bigger than them and better than them at the sport. They should lose.
Yes.
And so they did the commentary, and a part of the commentary is the director saying, well, I thought the original ending was better. And the two main stars also agreed that they prefer the ending, but it's not a thing. That wasn't never supposed to be the real ending.
Oh,
And there's
that's
quite a bit
great.
of evidence that says that it wasn't supposed to be the original ending. But it is an alternative ending on the DVD that you can watch. Apparently, right after in the movie, the real movie, where uh, White hits LaFleur with the ball and they're losing and they look distraught in the background, it just cuts to credits.
Dude, you would have felt so ripped off had they actually done that.
But
Like, we all would have.
This created this urban myth that they tested that ending and it didn't do well. And so they reshot all of the stuff just to do the current ending.
Yeah.
Which, of course, doesn't make sense because they didn't tie up all of these plot lines early in the movie if they just stopped the movie there. It makes no sense for the movie to end there.
No sense. Yeah. Yeah. Not at all. Jeez. And, we talked about how perfect some of the cast is here. The roles of Peter, White, and Justin were all wrote specifically for each actor.
Of course.
Of course.
I love that Justin's name in the movie is Justin.
Right? Whose idea was that? Yeah. Let's see. Stiller and Taylor actually had an 18-month-old baby at home while shooting this movie. She was so exhausted from taking care of the baby that she often dozed off in between takes.
That's really funny.
Crazy, man. They're real people, those stars, kids. Not all of them.
Yeah.
Not all of them. But the ones in here are.
Yeah. Also, have to give a shout to very funny character actor Chris Williams, on the other member of the Average Joes, who, if you watch Curb Your Enthusiasm, Mad Eyes, Crazy Killer, from those great episodes with Wanda Sykes, very funny in those episodes.
Yeah.
But he's another one in this movie that he completely buys into the ludicrous of this movie. In the car wash scene where he's standing there with the Speedos on and he has these socks pulled all the way up to his knees. And he inexplicably has a matching headband where every outfit he wears.
He does. Every outfit. Yeah.
He also has, in my opinion, some of the most funny reactions to getting hit by the ball. Every time the matches start and they're running out to the middle of the court to grab the ball, and he's running forward, flailing his arms around in the air. Even at the end of the movie, when they win, he's doing the exact same thing when he runs from the bench. He's flailing his arms in the air.
Yeah, he didn't get a whole lot to do in this movie, but the parts that he has.
Yeah.
Because wasn't he told Vince at the end, told you she's a lesbian. Like,
yeah.
Like he already knew it.
He doesn't get a lot to do, but just the visual humor he does, which is it's such a big part of his career, because I've seen him in many other things. He's in Friday After Next. He's in a bunch of other stuff, but he does so much visual humor. And then the bits that he does get where he has the lines, they're so matter of factly and so funny, where when he's like, yeah, don't worry about it. That guy probably gonna fall off a roller coaster and break every bone in his body.
It makes you wonder, where'd all that come from? Like all that dialogue. It's so ridiculous.
Kate's like, yeah, good one, Dwight. He's like, nope, just saying. My cousin Ray.
Yeah.
Boop, dead.
Yep. That is Chris Williams. The character is Dwight Baumgarten.
Yeah, Chris, man, so great. He also gives us the great line. I don't know, man. They got lasers and blazers and all kinds of agents over there.
That is a great line. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, the lines he does get, man, they stick with you. Like when the guy is going to talk to Fran at the bar, and he's like, "I'm gonna go take a bath, go to the bathroom." Yeah, go to the bar. And he's like, "Whatever you do, wash your hands."
Yeah. Sometimes it just felt like they just had him say things. They just randomly threw him out there just to see what would happen.
Yeah,
it's so good.
He has so many lines that stick, man.
Everything's stuck. And look, the car wash scene you mentioned, headband, like bikini shorts, like you said, wristbands.
Yes.
He's got a whistle around his neck for reasons I can't explain. And then those socks that have orange stripes down the sides.
Pulled all the way up.
Pulled all the way up.
Knee-high
Dude.
socks, man.
Yeah.
He's so ridiculous. It's when he's trying to convince the guy, he's like, "Wait, we have a pirate on our team, Steve, the pirate."
Yeah.
And he's like trying to break it down to him, and then it gets to the end of the movie. He's like, "Hey, it's Steve the pirate," and
Yeah.
he just looks at him like he wants to jump on him.
He just looks at him. The other guy we're talking about here is Joel David Moore as Owen. He's the one that falls in love with the girl. Yeah.
Owen is another one where he doesn't get that many lines, but he's just another one of these lovable losers.
Yes.
He does so many things, like when he explains, like, well, I think we should just pay in Canadian. And then they explain to him what would be more. And he's like, man, where are we going to get 12?
Yeah.
Where are we going to get $120,000?
You don't add the money together. Yeah. Clueless. Absolutely clueless, these people. Yeah, he's one of them. Absolutely clueless. By the way, the player names we can't pronounce, Missy Pyle, as Fran, also, of course, from Galaxy Quest.
Yes, also, of course, from Galaxy Quest. And she plays kind of the same character of like this like weird love interest for this side character in the movie to fall in love with. But also Missy Pyle, great comic actress as well. She's played several roles where she's had like some random side character in something. Josie and the Pussycats, of course. Like you said, Galaxy Quest. Breaking Down the House with Queen Latifah. She's very funny in that. The Tybo fight in that.
Yeah, she's really good here. Not a whole lot of speaking going on, but she don't really need to. And
no,
she and Owen end up together in the end, don't they? I think.
Yeah, she does a lot of the visual humor. Like she just like has this like very weird grin. Like every time she does the grin, and then Justin doing a spit take in response to it. Yeah.
And he, by the way, I'm looking ahead because I like her a lot, but I'm also moving on to Michelle, my fitness consigliere, Michelle. That's Jamal Duff, and I had no idea the guy was an ex-NFL player.
Yeah, very big guy.
Yeah. Dude, explain to me why his bio isn't littered with voice work. That voice is fantastic.
It should be. But also, people don't know sports tropes of having real-life athletes in the role on the other team going against these people that don't really play a sport to make the villains look more believable.
Longest yard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course, Fran's character of being foreigner that is very good at a sport. It's Ivan Drago and all of these other famous movie sports villains.
Yep. By the way, he also had a bit in Better Call Saul, but I don't know what he's doing now. Played college football for San Diego State University. Then he went on to play for the Giants and the Oakland Raiders, and then played in XFL. Yeah.
XFL.
Yeah. Well, don't get me started. But yeah, he supposedly he's not doing any of that stuff now. So that's a shame because, man, again, that guy, my God, if all he ever got, again, was voice work, you could make him, dude, you could probably live very comfortably doing voice work if you sounded like that. My goodness.
Yeah, he worked very well as White's henchman.
Yeah.
His responses to White were perfect. Also, just like his random threats.
Yeah.
You're dead next time. Like there's gonna be another game.
Yes.
After
yes.
they lose.
And I love how the little Vespa that he's riding with the little helmet and everything, when White snaps his fingers and it's like, and it just pulls up out of nowhere.
Yeah, he's on this little small. So funny, man. But yeah, perfect with White as like this 1-2 combination. Their 1-2 combination on the floor as well as played very, very well. Just this idea of White being the star of the team, and he's got this other guy that he plays off of, the Jordan and Kobe of their team, but Jordan and Pippen of their team. And every time, like the peekaboo And
Oh my
or
God.
when he gets hit in the face with the ball and he just points out ball and he just catches it out of midair. Ha ha, you're out.
Amber says, Justin, I love you. Justin says, I love you. Then bam, right in the face. Joni loves Chachi. Oh my God. Freaking wonderful.
Wonderful. Michelle getting ready to throw that ball at LaFleur when he's on the ground. And he's just basically like roaring and making these noise at him in slow motion.
Yeah. And dude, when he takes that ball at the end and it sends him halfway across the court, I guess we're calling it, it looks as though he's been knocked out cold by that ball. His eyes are closed and whatnot. Like, come on, guys. What are we doing?
Yeah, the reactions are just incredible, man.
So awesome. Yeah, he's some very homoerotic stuff happening between these two characters too at any given point in this movie.
Yes.
Which makes it even freaking funnier because it's so awkward and neither one of them ever admit to anything out loud. But you're like, yeah, I think there's something else going on here.
Yeah, I mean, when we first see them and LaFleur comes in, he's like, should I come back?
Yeah. Yeah, because he didn't want to to interrupt anything. Yeah. Man, I want to go back to talking about White again because I just love that guy. I can't help it. He takes so much of this movie, man. The scene outside her house, bloodline, but you know the line about the blood.
Yeah.
He talks about getting the scent of a lesser stag in your nose, you know, and he's like, I'll let you have your little moment, LaFleur. Because after this tournament, your gym, your life, and your gal are gonna be mine. And he comes up on her and says, to be continued. And the moment he gets on her, she slams him up against the wall. It's like, you don't get to touch me ever.
The way he slams against the wall and she like legitimately like almost beats him up with one move.
Yes.
He's just like tries to no sell it. He's like, nobody makes me bleed my own blood.
Nobody. Again, he left it hanging. So you can get one more word in. Yeah.
It's so funny, man.
Let's see. We mentioned Cole and Bateman here. What about the Dodgeball Chancellor that showed up with like 5 minutes left to go in the film?
William Shatner?
The great William Shatner. Yes.
Yeah, but even that, all of that, just the cameos we get out of nowhere are also sports movies tropes. All of these guys that are also like a big part of genre films, but just them showing up. Of course, Chuck Norris. The Chuck Norris cameo is very funny. Of course, a lot of the things that this riffs off of martial arts movies. Chuck Norris inside kick.
Yes. Yeah, he's the judge that gives the thumbs up. F you, Chuck Norris. At the very end. Yeah.
What's a bylaw?
Yeah. What's it? Yeah. Oh, man.
The Chuck Norris cameo is very funny because it's just a very Chuck Norris thing to do, to just show up and give a thumbs up. And I just think Chuck Norris as a real person just having all these weird side quests where he just shows up and then like walks away like this wandering man that just shows up and does all of these random odd jobs.
Man, remember when it was cool to do the Chuck Norris lines and, you know, Chuck Norris doesn't do push-ups. He just pushes the earth down and all that other stuff. And man, that was fun while it lasted. And now he's not exactly on the right side of politics, if we can say that.
I will choose to ignore that and just continue to think of Chuck Norris as this mythical man that wanders the world and does odd jobs.
If we're going to commit to that, then I'm okay with it. As long as he doesn't come out talking. He starts talking, but between now and next week, and I know I don't want to date it, but, you know, certain things are happening next week.
Yeah.
Then I won't be happy with him anymore. So.
But yeah, like you said, the great William Shatner, another guy that has made a career of hamming it up and completely buying into the most absurd things. His reaction when the average Joes win the game and he's like he's clapping super hard, very, very funny.
And when she we first see him, he's in the locker room and they're talking to somebody and you don't know who they're talking to. And then the camera pans over and he's like, there's nothing I can do. Like in that one moment, it's like, yep, he's dialed in.
Yeah. When he's when he's pulling the scepter back and forth with White.
Yes. Oh my God. By the way, the cheerleaders on the dodgeball court. How about those dodgeball dancers, folks? That is some good, clean family fun there, Cot? Like, I freaking love that.
Yes.
Again, the commentary is fantastic. Curtis Armstrong is here. That's Booger from Revenge of the Nerds. Curtis Armstrong's fan. Talk about a guy that does voice work. That's Curtis Armstrong.
Yes.
He's been around for a long time. The team, White's team, is Rusty Joyner as Blade. And Kevin Porter as Laser. Brandon Malal as Blazer. By the way, have you seen the fan film Batman versus Predator?
I have not.
Okay, it's not called that. It's called Dead End, Batman Dead End. This thing's been floating around the internets for years. It is, dude, when you see this, I'm telling you right now, don't let the word fan film scare you. It is fantastic. And in the world of fan films, it is considered an absolute classic. It's a classic. The suit, again, I look at the suit and I'm like, why haven't we done this in the films? It's fantastic. And that is Kevin Porter as Batman.
Oh.
Yeah, because, he's all jacked up in this movie. Dude, I'll send it to you. It's excellent. We've also got Scarlett Travat as Joyce, Kate's girlfriend, that we don't know she has a girlfriend to the very end. What'd you think about that twist, by the way?
We get two different scenes with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a funny scene because they play up this bit the entire movie of her being a lesbian. And so we get that twist of like, no. I'm not lesbian. I'm bisexual.
Well, of course she is, right?
Yeah. But yeah, all of the Purple Cobras, again, the fact that they're riffing off of Cobra Kai and all of these great movie villain teams. What is the name of the team that's against Michael J. Fox's Beavers and Teen Wolf? The Dragons. And so when you look at them, they all have that same kind of look of those teams. Like when he's introducing them and they're like cracking their knuckles in the background and try to look menacing. It's so ridiculous. But it's so in line with so many of these kind of sports movies. That's what makes it so funny. I'm telling you, if you look at Blazer, like he's a dead ringer for one of these like movie bad guys for like Lucas or any of those 80s sports movies. I don't think it's a coincidence at all that Average Joe's, their color scheme for their team is yellow and red, which is the same color scheme as the Hoosiers.
Oh, well done. Yeah. I was going to say Hulk Hogan because it was 80s references, but yeah, you're probably right. Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, Hasselhoff's in this movie as the coach of the German team.
When we get that cameo, that's another one, very funny one. That's one of those gags that the trailer doesn't give away, and I think that's also what makes this movie so funny on first watch because there's so many gags that you don't see coming that it makes it so funny. Like them worshiping that picture of Hasselhoff in the locker room, and then it cuts to actual Hasselhoff there, like cursing them out for losing it, and then he throws the picture on the ground. It's so funny.
So funny. Oh my God. It is fantastic. Yeah. Again, people just showing up to do little bits here and there. It's really good.
Yeah. Lance Armstrong, another very funny cameo.
Yeah. Well, the Lance Armstrong stuff doesn't age well.
No, but I think
the part was good,
Yeah, because it's a parody of like a famous athlete being in these things and giving the hero of the movie a word of advice. Because I mean, like think Little Giants and like actually John Madden being in that movie and giving the team words of advice. That's what this is parodying. And so it's supposed to be him giving LaFleur this motivational speech, but he's also kind of shaming him like, man, I would hope that you have something serious going on because, I had cancer and all of these things going on at the same time. But, at least you can live with being a quitter, right?
Yeah, again, his stuff, he will never age well, kids. If you don't know who this guy is, look him up.
Yeah, yikes.
But the character thing in this is really good.
Yeah, what they're riffing off of and the fact that they got Lance Armstrong, like at that time, the most motivational guy you can think of in sports, Live Strong and all of these things to do it, made it even funnier.
He's like, yeah, that's me. I'm a big fan of yours. Like, really? Yeah, I've been watching the Dodgeball tournament on the Ocho, ESPN 8. I just can't get enough of it.
Yeah, I love how everybody in the movie, when they say ESPN 8, they say the whole thing. ESPN 8, the Ocho.
The Ocho.
Love that stuff.
Got to throw in the Ocho. I'm really pulling for you against those jerks from Globo Jam. I think you better hurry up. You're going to be late. Like, I decided to quit. He's like, quit? I was thinking about quitting when I was diagnosed with brain, lung, and testicular cancer all at the same time. Dude, I'm sure you have good reason to quit. So what are you dying from this keeping you from the finals? He's like, right now it feels like a little bit of shame, a little bit like shame. Well, I guess if a person never quit when the going got tough, they wouldn't have anything to regret for the rest of their life. But good luck to you, Peter. I'm sure this decision will haunt you forever. Oh, man. Yeah. Peter says, you really think you can come in here and buy me out, Wyatt? You're a lot dumber than I thought. Wyatt says, oh, I don't think I'm a lot dumber than you thought that I thought that I once was. Christ.
Yeah, the fact that they're just sitting in there in the dark, and then he has the $50,000 in a briefcase, and it looks so stupid in a briefcase just because it's like one stack of money just sitting in a briefcase.
I thought it was $1 million that he gave him. Wasn't it $1 million?
No, it was wasn't it 50,000? Because it was the amount that he needed. It was the exact, either it was 50,000 or it was double the amount he needed. I have to look that up now. I believe it was 50,000. Either it's 50,000 or 100,000.
It's one little stack of cash. That's all it is.
Yes.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah, one little stack of cash.
And he's just like, yeah, they don't show you what it actually looks like in a movie, but
yeah. Oh man, yeah. I mean, another trope, Phil, is that the team eventually wants to give up.
Yes.
Like they can't do it, and then an event happens to bring them back together.
Well, just the trope that Patches dies. And
yeah, there you go. Yeah.
That's the thing that makes them question if they can win. Like, we can't win without Patches. It's such a big sports trope of like randomly like this big tragedy happens that makes the antagonist question everything. Well, protagonist, I mean, question everything. Like, we can't win without Patches, and they got blazes and lasers and all kinds of lasers over there.
By the way, you're right. It's $100,000. I don't know where I got $1 million from. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's double what he initially needed, and it's double the amount he would have won from winning the dodgeball competition. Which again, another trope. Getting into a competition where the winnings are the exact amount of money that you need.
Of course. Of course, it has to be the exact amount. Yeah, that's important. We have not mentioned, we've got Lori Beth Denberg as the overweight cheerleader. She went on to be on All That on Nickelodeon.
That's right. She was on All That. She was on a Steve Harvey show. She did quite a bit during that time period.
She did.
Big time child actress.
Yeah, for sure. Susie Nakamura as Gordon's wife, who hates his guts, and his children hate him as well, by the way.
Yeah, I love that the entire movie they play up this like, well, I don't have anything to be mad at, and then when his wife is over there laughing and flirting with the guy in the stands, he gets legitimately mad.
And then clears the whole court so the team can come back in by himself. Well, no, he won the game by himself, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Wow,
he beat them all by himself. He cleared out the entire team by himself. Which, if you guys are tired of me pointing out tropes, it's another sports trope of the nerd inexplicably going on this streak of points and winning a game that he shouldn't win. I mean, that's the whole bit from Teen Wolf of them getting this big comeback. All that was missing was the win in the end. If you guys can't tell, I've watched Teen Wolf thousands of times. I've seen it dozens and dozens of times.
We're gonna have to do it. We're gonna have to do it here on the show then, for sure. Yeah, gonna have to make it happen. There's one that we haven't mentioned. Patton Oswalt is in this movie.
That's right. He is in the movie.
He does the voice of the video store clerk that's calling Peter, and also the narrator of the video that White is watching while he's fondling a piece of pizza. So there you go. Man, that's a big cast. And so many funny people in this thing, too.
Yes. Yes. The collective of all these funny people made this into not just a hit movie, but a cult classic for a lot of people for a lot of reasons. Because it's just these are a lot of people that know how to sell humor, and man, it just doesn't work without people that actually understand comedy.
Mm. Yeah, I agree. Talented folks, great timing. It's good. Is it a great story? No, but it's a good story. It's funny. I think the jokes land. I think
Yeah,
it does everything it needs to do.
it's very funny. It's great satire
Mm-hmm.
on sports movies, and like I said towards the beginning, it's actually a good sports movie as well. All of this stuff culminating in Patches dying, and then uh, the way that they win in the end is very convoluted. Because you have to create all of these obstacles to them winning. Like, okay, well, first of all, they were going to forfeit because LaFleur wasn't there, and then they had to have the bylaws work out for them to actually play. Then they play, and they get the double fault to get to the showdown between Dwight and LaFleur,
Mm.
and then LaFleur wins by doing another obstacle of blindfolding himself, which is another trope of the movie hero doing something completely otherworldly to win that makes no sense.
Right, exactly.
And even still after that, when he wins and Dwight's like, haha, you fool, I still have won anyway because you sold me your gem. And then we get out of nowhere this plot point that he bet on the game, which was something that was explained earlier in the movie. All of this stuff, by the way, in the culmination of the movie are things that were explained at some point during the movie. Like Gordon is explaining what a double fault is at one point in the movie, which comes back to explain what happens when Dwight actually gets the double fault. And then there's at one point on a commercial for the tournament, and they're talking about how much the Purple Cobras are the favorites to win. And that's how we get the call back later of LaFleur betting on himself to win, which is pretty illegal. I don't think you can do that, but it's dodgeball, I guess.
Sure.
But yeah, I love that came back, and that his convoluted way of getting the gem back was to bet on himself to win, literally bet on himself to win, and then use that money to buy global gem and his gem back at the same time.
Yeah.
And to make it even funnier, if you guys don't think that this is all just great satire on all of these things from sports movie, when they roll the chess in with his winnings, the chess says Deuce Ex Machina on it.
My God. I totally, yeah, no, God. Well, I mean, because that's when he tells Steve, he's like, well, who am I going to share all this, this buried treasure with if you're not a pirate?
Yeah, and then they lovingly say to each other, Gar.
Yeah.
Gar, Steve.
Gar, Steve, yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, 50-1 odds. Because anyone, off the top of your head, what's 50 times 100,000? One goes, $50,000? Like, she's like, Peter, $5 million, by the way.
Yes.
I mean, that's some serious cash.
Yeah.
And she has to spring it on him that it's that Globo Dream is a publicly traded company, that he can't stop it and all this. And I'm like, all right, well,
yeah,
the bad guy got his. I can't be upset about that.
Yeah, I'm your boss, pal. You're fired. You can't be my boss. I'm my own boss. Nobody can tell me what to do.
100 miles an hour. Again, like a petulant child in here.
You suck, LaFleur.
In 2005, there was a copyright lawsuit from two New York City screenwriters, David Price and Ahsoka Thomas, who filed suit in federal court against Fox Thurber, claiming copyright infringement of an unproduced screenplay they had written, Dodgeball, the movie. And they alleged there were a number of similarities in the plots of the two screenplays, and that Thurber may have had access to their screenplay, which was finished a month before his and submitted to an agent whose assistant he was acquainted with. That sounds like a lot of potentially damning evidence.
It does.
Lawyers for the defendants dismissed some of the allegations as coincidental. They said that both screenplays were the work of writers who used common formulaic elements. The judge denied the defense motion for summary judgment and ordered the trial. The suit was later sold out of court. So those guys came out of that with something. But I've never heard that before. The box office for this film in its first week grossed over $29 million. Will go on to a domestic of 114.3 and a worldwide of 168.4. The critical response, Rotten Tomatoes, 71%, which in my estimation, Phil, not a bad score for a comedy of this nature. I don't think I expected 100%, and I sure didn't. I sure hoped for not of 29, but I thought 71% is not bad.
Yeah, this movie did very well in that time period, but I feel like that was in an era where comedy movies were definitely on an upswing. We got a lot of great stuff coming out of that genre in that time period. So it's just the right time about and just the influence it had as well. We got that ping pong movie that wasn't nearly as good, but
I forgot about that. Balls of Fury.
yes,
I love that guy. I can't remember his name, the actor. I love that guy.
Danny McBride.
No. Well, Danny McBride too, but the lead actor, because he's been in other stuff. He was in some of the Harry Potter stuff, wasn't he? The Fantastic Beasts. What is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
I know you're talking about, but I just cannot think of his name.
The first time I'd ever seen that guy was in Fanboys. A good movie, by the way. He played Hutch in that movie, too. But yeah, really good stuff. By the way, there was talk of a sequel. In 2013, it was announced 20th Century Fox has started developing a sequel to the film with someone else writing the script and Stiller and Vaughn returning. However, Stiller later said that he was not aware a Dodgeball sequel was happening. So apparently nobody told him. A reunion video featuring the cast entitled Play Dodgeball with Ben Stiller was released, as we said, 2017. And on April 27, 2023, last year, it was announced that 20th Century Studios had re-begun production on a sequel with actor Vince Vaughn set to return and possibly serve as a producer on the new film. And that's where we leave it, because we don't know anything after that point. By the way, Phil, I see absolutely no reason why you can't make a part 2 here, because if you were to have the same writer on board, maybe the same director, and it's as quirky and fun and goofy as this one, I don't know why in the world it couldn't work, because sports movies like this, I can't say they work every time. You know, Major League 3, I'm looking at you, you know, but like, it's possible. I don't see any reason why that couldn't work if they did a sequel here.
Yeah, I think if they do it, I don't imagine you're gonna have LaFleur playing dodgeball, but LaFleur as a coach of a dodgeball team makes a lot of sense.
I love
LaFleur
it.
being in the Patches role makes a lot of sense.
I love it. And maybe wearing the scarf too. Wearing the scarf. I'd be here for that. Soundtrack's not bad either, by the way, Phil.
Very much that time period.
Very much, yeah. By the way, we've got Hardcore Holly song and Crash Holly song in this movie.
You did?
Yeah, Crash Holly. That song plays. And the one girl what was it, horse tranquilizer she was taking, I think it was? Or like whatever.
Tranquilizer.
Yeah. And they disqualify her. She's going, ho, 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 ho. Like, it's so good. Her arms are hairy. She's got like a mustache, you know?
Yes.
It's Bernice. Because the little girl next to her, I think it's Bernice. Little girl next to her is like, it's like, you know, Dad, Bernice, you know, just, oh, it's so good.
Throws her hat at her.
Yeah, throws her hat at her.
Yeah, man, that is one of the most memorable bits from the movie as well. Of LaFleur hitting the one girl with the ball, and she's on the floor crying, like, "Why would you do that?" Yeah. And then he gets hit, and she just totally gets up, and she's faking it the whole time. So funny.
They're there to win, man. They didn't come there to play. They came there to win. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Well, I think I need a nap. That's a long episode, but let me tell you something, man. I love this movie. Like it's, you know, such good stuff, man. Like I thoroughly enjoyed doing this. I mean, it was Ben Stiller on his best day is this movie. On his best day is Tropic Thunder. On his best day is, you know, random other roles that works. Vince Vaughn, when the character's written for him, and by the way, Vince Vaughn I think is good in everything, but especially if they're writing with him in mind, all the better. And then again, you've got veteran actors around them. You've got a great supporting cast. I mean, this thing, I don't know how this thing fails, honestly. I mean, maybe not the best, funniest thing you've ever seen, but certainly one you get plenty of laughs out of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, very, very funny movie. A movie that shouldn't be nearly as funny as it is, but
good point.
So funny, man.
Good point. Good point. Well, kids, there you have it. There's Dodgeball, a true underdog story. And I, for one, cannot wait for a part 2. I hope that thing actually happens. So we shall see. But for now, Phil, let's take this home. Give me your last word on Dodgeball.
Dodgeball may possibly be the stupidest movie I've ever seen. But I have so many legitimate gut laughs every time I watch it. And it's one of those movies where I've recommended it to people and they've come back and they'll say, like, that wasn't that funny at all. But I just think it relies so much on you buying into the gags after not knowing anything about the movie. If you went into this movie completely cold, I think it made it even better.
I agree, dude. I agree. I think this thing ages just fine. I think the actors are fantastic. I would absolutely be here for a part 2. And look, even if they screwed it up, you can't take this one away from me because this is a classic, in my opinion. Just a really fun movie. And kids, like Phil said, it's not the smartest movie you're ever going to watch, but you're going to get plenty of laughs out of it. So if we have inspired you to go check it out, now that we've ruined the whole thing for you, or if you haven't seen it before, or if you have seen it before, whatever that looks like, you're going to love it again, I promise you. Because I think this thing really holds up. So again, we'll see what happens in the future. Back with more comedy soon, and action, and comic books, and music, and all the other stuff that we typically do here. But for now, that is Dodgeball. Hey, thanks for listening to the show. Check out our social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at 6M Podcast. We'll see you next time.